Have you ever felt so deeply for others that it leaves you completely exhausted? There comes a moment in every empath's life when something inside them just goes quiet. Not broken, not angry, just done. The famous psychologist Carl Jung discovered that this isn't depression or burnout. He called it the final stage of awakening. And when this happens, it often scares everyone around you, because when an empath finally stops caring about the drama, they don't become cruel, they become untouchable. Jung spent decades studying people like this, the most sensitive minds, the emotional absorbers, the ones who can walk into a room and instantly feel everything. You don't just notice tension, you carry it. You don't just understand someone's pain, you process it for them. Family dinners leave you drained. Friendships can feel like a chore. Relationships can nearly destroy you because you feel your partner's pain more deeply than they do. Jung famously called these individuals the emotional shock absorbers of society. And the strangest part, they almost never complain. You're praised for being so understanding. You're rewarded for always keeping the peace. You're loved for always being there. So, you learn to abandon your own needs and call it kindness. But Jung noticed something happening beneath the surface. Your unconscious mind was keeping a detailed record. Every manipulation, every betrayal, every single time your boundaries were crossed. You saw the patterns. You always did. You just refused to use that knowledge against anyone. Until one day, something inside finally snaps. This breaking point almost always comes from a profound betrayal. Not a small disappointment or a simple conflict, but a deep, cutting betrayal. It usually comes from someone you protected, defended, and loved unconditionally. Maybe a partner cheats after years of you emotionally carrying the relationship. A parent turns against you after a lifetime of your support. Or a close friend lies after being trusted with your deepest secrets. In that moment, the empath realizes something absolutely devastating. You knew, on some level, you always knew. But you silenced your intuition just to keep the relationship alive. That's the real wound. It's not just about being betrayed by someone else. It's the painful realization that you betrayed yourself. Jung called this the withdrawal of projections. It says the moment the empath finally stops seeing people for who they could be and starts seeing them for who they actually are. And here's the part that no one ever expects. You don't explode. You don't beg. You don't fall apart. You just go quiet. You become incredibly calm and clear. The fog that has clouded your judgment for years finally lifts. This is the great shift. You stop performing emotional labor for everyone else. You stop managing other people's feelings. You stop explaining, justifying, or apologizing for having needs of your own. You don't announce it. You don't make threats. You just stop participating in the old dynamics. And that's what terrifies everyone who benefited from your old ways. Because this isn't anger. Anger was familiar. Anger could be manipulated. This is a calm indifference to emotional games. The empath has finally unplugged from the matrix of drama. People will try to pull you back in, of course. They'll use guilt trips, stir up new drama, or create a crisis that only you can solve. But this time, nothing works. Jung called this process shadow integration. The part of you that was always taught to be selfish, cold, or too much. It turns out that was your survival instinct. It's not evil, it's not cruel, it's protective. When this shadow part of you integrates with your conscious mind, you don't become heartless, you become whole. You still feel things just as deeply as before, but now you choose where your precious energy goes. So, what actually changes? You start setting boundaries without feeling the need to explain them. You stop rescuing people from their own choices. You stop overgiving until you're empty. You are no longer endlessly available. Some people will call you selfish. They might say, "You've changed." And they're right, you have. You've stopped setting yourself on fire just to keep others warm. At work, you stop carrying everyone else's stress. In your family, you stop being the emotional glue holding everyone together. And in your relationships, you stop tolerating anything that costs you your peace of mind. Some people will rise to meet this powerful new version of you. Others will leave, searching for someone easier to drain. And the awakened empath lets them go, without the old, familiar pain. Not because you don't care, but because you finally care enough about yourself. This leads to a new kind of power. Jung noticed something fascinating about these awakened empaths. They become almost impossible to manipulate. They spot love bombing instantly. They can feel dishonesty in their gut. They sense toxic dynamics before they even begin to form. This isn't because they've become paranoid. It's because they are integrated and whole. Their intuition is no longer a whisper. It's a clear, confident voice. They could use this profound insight to destroy people, to expose all their games and manipulations, but they don't. They simply use it to protect their peace. Their very presence becomes a filter. Toxic people feel exposed and uncomfortable around them. Authentic, genuine people feel incredibly safe. Your life begins to reorganize itself around your own sovereignty, not endless sacrifice for others. So, the empath who seems to have stopped caring hasn't lost their heart. They have finally found their power. They didn't become cold. They became conscious. They didn't stop loving. They just learned to love themselves with the same fierce intensity they once gave away to everyone else. This is precisely why Jung called it the final stage of awakening. Not because there's nowhere left to grow, but because you finally learn the ultimate truth. Your sensitivity is sacred. Your energy is valuable. Your peace is absolutely non-negotiable. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity. And it is the true beginning of your sovereignty. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. See you next time.